I just came back from the Keith Thurman Danny Garcia fight, and you guys know usually, I'll do a review of the fight as soon as I get in. All right, while everything's fresh in my head. All right, and I'll do another video after I watch the fight on television. But I'm gonna tell you right now, out of all of the fights that I've gone in my life to see live, I've never I don't want to say that I'm wrong, because I do want to get a chance to watch the fight on television, but I want to say about 95% of my following on Twitter and about anybody that knows that was at the fight and that was watching it and was texting me while I was in the building disagree with me. I mean, literally, except my cousin that I was there with and other people in the arena. I saw a completely different fight. All right, so I would give me the opportunity to watch the fight again, because I never got so many hits of disagreement. And then when I was looking at and I was reading my timeline, I remember reading tweets of Thurman up 5-1, and I'm literally way off from what everybody else was thinking. Okay, now not only am I off by what everyone else was thinking, but my prediction, even though I predicted Thurman to win by decision, it just didn't go the way I thought it was going to go, in my opinion. All right. In the building, I scored it a draw. If you follow me on Twitter, you would see that I was tweeting all of this. All right. In the building, I saw it was a draw. Now, in the building, definitely a heavy Danny Garcia crowd. All right. There was a lot of people there also that was rooting for Thurman, but you wouldn't hear them because Danny Garcia has a huge fan base. Apparently, he has a huge fan base in New York. There was a lot of dudes from Philly in there. I can tell, Philly has their way about them. They're from Philly. All right. But definitely, since he's been fighting here in the Barclays, right? He fought Paulie Malignaggi here. He fought Zab Judah there. I think he might even fought Rob Salka there. I don't know. But Danny has been fighting at the Barclays for at least 2 or 3 fights already. All right. So he does have a following. All right. But I don't know, man. I don't even know where to begin. I don't know where to begin. The fight was a good fight. And I know probably none of you are going to agree with anything I'm saying. I really don't care. But the fight, I enjoyed the fight. The crowd ruined it for me because I want to say out of 9 out of the 10 to 12 rounds, there was booing throughout. Whenever there's a period that nobody was throwing punches, they were quick to boo. All right. And that ruined it for me. Because I had a bunch of people sitting around me that was booing at every moment, every opportunity. Okay. But I'm going to be real with you. I thought Garcia was up 4-1. I thought the first round was the best round. Okay. By far. I thought Danny Garcia was winning. I thought Danny Garcia was outboxing Keith Thurman. Okay. He even hurt Keith Thurman, or appeared to hurt him in the first round. And then Keith Thurman went straight to slug mode, and it worked out for him, and he took the round back in the last minute. So Keith definitely got that first round. But outside of that, this is when Thurman was actually standing in front of Danny. I thought Danny was landing more consistent. I thought Keith was standing right in front of Danny, and Danny was landing. He was landing the cleanest shots. I thought Danny was also countering well. All right, I think Thurman was definitely, I don't know, but Thurman was getting timed very well by Danny Garcia, and I was very surprised because I thought Thurman was gonna be outboxing. Remember I remember what I told you. I'm gonna watch the fight again, but based on what I was seeing, I want to say I had Garcia up maybe around 4-1. Okay. I just was not impressed with Keith Thurman. I thought the rounds were close, but I was giving them to Danny. Okay, early on. All right. I thought the first half of the fight, I think. Well, let me slow it down. All right, but out of the first 5 rounds or so, I thought, or first 4 rounds or whatever, I thought Danny won 3 of them. Okay, I just wasn't impressed with Keith. You know, he was just. I'm trying to remember what were some of the shots that were being landed, but Keith was not using the jab at all. I kept screaming in the car, Keith, use the jab, shoot it down to the body. Keith wasn't giving him, he was just doing a straight 1-2, throw the jab out there and follow it up with a right hand over and over again. Sometimes it landed, most of the time it didn't land. And Danny was picking him apart, in my opinion. All right. This was at the point where I think maybe after the 4th round is when I first saw my Twitter, and people were saying that Thurman was up like 4-1, 5-1. All right. So anyway, I think after those first 4 rounds, I think I gave the majority of the rounds after that to Thurman. Okay. And then it was, some of those rounds were close, but then I thought Thurman was doing well before he went into complete lateral movement, super lateral movement, like mode where he was boxing well, but he wasn't doing the extra movement. All right. Then came like around, what was the 10th round? Okay, maybe the 9th round. But I'm gonna watch it again. But like in the 10th round for sure, I definitely gave Danny the last 3 rounds. This is why I scored it a draw, because I wasn't really scoring it, but I kind of had it in my head where I thought it was going. Like I knew early on I thought Danny was winning. And then there was a point where I thought Keith won like so many rounds where I was like, okay, Keith got this fight. Keith is now finally looking like what I thought he would look like in this fight. And then it came like in the 10th round where Keith was just playing it super safe as if he was up by a lot. You know, because even those rounds that I thought he was winning, I still thought they were close. So I'm like, Keith, you not even fighting. It turned straight into, and I think if I could remember, I might be wrong, but correct me if I'm wrong. I think Keith knocked down Guerrero in the 9th round. And then after that 9th round, the last 3 or so, 2 or 3 rounds, he just moved and didn't fight. And I'm watching this and I'm like, this is like Oscar De La Hoya. Oscar De La Hoya obviously did it for a lot longer, but I'm like, what is Keith doing? Danny is fighting. He's looking like he's trying to make the fight. The judges are going to give Danny these rounds. I don't know what they did. I didn't see the scorecard. I don't know how they scored it. But I'm saying in my head, how in the world does Keith Thurman think he's up to a point where he can just move and not fight? I gave Danny the last 3 rounds. I just did not like it with Keith. Yeah, he was landing. You know, he's trying to do this slick thing. The thing is, I'm a big fan of Erislandy Lara. Like, I like what he does. Like, when he's doing it, it seems to be very effective to me. All right? He looks very sharp when he's moving and landing that straight left. He looks good while he's doing it, to me. When Keith is doing it, it doesn't look so good. It's just not, it doesn't fit him right. You know? I know he's been doing it for some time now, but something about this fight really bothered me. All right. And I was rooting for Keith. I was happy that he won because I didn't know what was going to happen. You know, I don't know if he was not going to get the win because that running might have put a bad taste in the judge's mouth and they might have scored it for Danny. I had no idea. All right. I thought it was going to be a draw, you know, or a split decision win at that point. Even though I predicted Keith to win by unanimous decision, I just really wasn't impressed with Keith winning this fight. Danny, I can't say anything about Danny because Danny did exactly what I thought. You know what? I was actually a little bit more impressed with Danny because I thought Danny was actually outboxing Keith early on. Okay? I thought so. All right, regardless of what everybody saw, I'm just saying, in the building, I thought Danny was outboxing him in the beginning, in the very beginning. Okay? I was not impressed with Keith Thurman in this fight at all. I was not impressed. And, you know, it reminded me of the Lamont Peterson fight with Danny Garcia, when Lamont Peterson, for the first 5 rounds, he's just moving, making Danny miss and swing at him, but Lamont wasn't throwing anything back. I'm like, what are you doing, Keith? This is not what you do. You know? I mean, play it safe, but goddamn. He's not going to be able to do that with Errol Spence if they fight. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. You're not going to beat that kid like that. And you're not going to outbox Kell Brook. Alright. I thought it was a draw. Okay? In the building, most people thought Danny won. Unless, I don't know. There's a lot of Danny fans, so that's unfair to say. There was a lot of Danny fans in the building. But I just wasn't impressed with the fight. As far as it was good to watch, it was fun, it was exciting, except the last 3 rounds. But I wasn't really impressed with either. And for Keith to actually unify, and I'm very happy for him. I'm happy that he unified, because I don't know, not too many people are unifying these days. I know Floyd held 2 titles. The WBO guys, the titleists over there, they pretty much were top ring guys. They were babysitting that belt. Okay, and the IBF, was usually, in the mix. They usually stuck to the mandatories the best. I mean, I'm just talking throughout the years. So I'm glad that Keith was able to unify. I'm happy for him. But if you're not a fan of Keith Thurman, you're not going to become one after watching this fight. That's what I'm saying. I've been a fan of Keith, so I'm very happy. I was very happy. But I wasn't impressed with that, especially the way he closed it out. Danny closed it out the right way, in my opinion. Win or lose, whether you score those rounds for him or not, I thought Danny closed it as if he needed a win. But with that being said, if I watch it again, and I know some of you are going to come and tell me, some of you were tweeting me this, you were saying, well, Danny needed a knockout to win. People were tweeting me that. Danny needed a knockout to win. So, I gotta watch the fight again, but this is based on my first viewing. Me just fresh coming home, whatever. Now, let's move on for that. Errol Spence and who's this other guy? Kell Brook. I'm sorry, I said the other guy like he's nobody. I'll be dropping a prediction for that. I'm pretty sure where I'm going with that fight. All right. I made that decision yesterday while I was watching some film. But I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think either Keith Thurman or Danny Garcia has a chance of beating neither Errol Spence or Kell Brook. Whoever the winner of this fight is, and I wanted to say that before, but I didn't want to get too much into that. I think Keith Thurman, it's been a while since I thought Keith Thurman was improving. Excuse me. It's been a while since I seen Keith Thurman and said, damn, he's getting better. It's been a while. Danny too, and I think Kell Brook will easily outbox Keith Thurman from the outside, no matter what he does, whatever Keith decides to do. If he wants to box on the outside and he wants to use his lateral movement and his legs, it's not going to be enough for Kell Brook. And I think Kell Brook could hurt him. And Errol Spence, on the other hand, is going to go to that body. He's going to be physical like Sean Porter, but he's going to be landing cleaner than Sean Porter. He's not going to smother his punches like Sean Porter. I think both of them will beat Keith Thurman and Danny Garcia. All right, that's just my opinion. And I would have told you that before this fight. But I am absolutely certain I was not impressed with Keith Thurman. I love him. I'm going to root for him against all of these guys. At welterweight, I'm going to want Keith Thurman to win every single time. Regardless of how I feel of his performance, I'm going to want Keith to win every time against anyone in the welterweight division right now. But, not impressed. Kell Brook will beat him, and Errol Spence will beat him. Alright. And without too much of a problem, in my opinion. Alright. It's over. KOs for life. That's over. Those days are over. He did land some clean shots against Danny. Danny ate those shots. You know, I seen Danny hurt more in the Judah fight, in the Peterson fight. Definitely in the Peterson fight. Alright. Even in the Guerrero fight, that first half of that fight, I thought Danny was getting beat up more. I never looked at it that way in this Keith Thurman fight. It's unfair to compare, but, you know, I know styles makes fight and everything, but nah. You know, I think Keith Thurman, in both him and Danny, and that's why it was so hard to make a prediction for this fight, because I feel like they're really close. They're both like right at that edge where it's hard to really tell, even at this point, how good they really are. It's hard to tell because Danny, he's fighting great fighters or good fighters. Not always, but he's never dominating. Like I said in my prediction video, he's never dominating. And then you have Keith, where he's changed his whole style up since he started fighting better fighters. And now it's just like, he's not that good now when he's fighting this way. You know, he's not that good. It can get him the W against the opponents he's been facing. You know, it barely worked against Sean. I mean, Sean, you could easily say Sean won that fight. Sean was a much tougher opponent than Danny Garcia, stylistically. But it's not gonna, it's gonna run out, I think. Just like it ran out for Danny. Danny got his gifts, and you can't be mad if Danny didn't get his win, you know? He got a close win with Peterson. He got a close win with Herrera. Okay, and you know, even older fights. He got a lot of close decisions that didn't have to go his way that day. So tonight, didn't go his way. I'm cool with that. But as a fan and as an observer of both fighters, those other two guys will beat either one of them, without a doubt. I think the real best is between those two other guys. And I know Errol Spence has improved in himself, but based on what I've seen with my eyes, Errol Spence is a problem for those two, style-wise. And the other fight that just got announced, Porter and Berto. I like the fight. You know, Porter's coming off of the loss to Thurman. You know, not a real loss, like, you know. I don't even think the Danny Garcia loss to Thurman is like a real loss, you know? It's not something you really need to bounce back from. It's going right in there with Berto. I like the fight. You know, Berto's been winning since outside of the Floyd fight, you know, all the other fights since he returned from his injury. He's been winning. And you can outbox Berto, but you know what? He got that sneaky power, man. He has a lot of power. I think he hits harder than Keith Thurman to this day. You can outbox him easily. Victor Ortiz was outboxing him. Josecito Lopez was outboxing him. He put him away, both of them. He's always going to be dangerous. So if he can catch Porter coming in, you know, like with that short uppercut, he used to knock guys out back in his prime. He could catch Sean Porter. But Sean Porter should be able to deal with Andre Berto. Alright, that pressure, too much for Berto. Really good, skillful boxers like Floyd and pressure fighters like Berto and like Guerrero was back then, too much for Berto. Sean Porter should have his way with Andre Berto, and I will put Sean Porter right back in the mix. Might possibly have a rematch with Keith Thurman. You know, that's what I think is gonna happen. I doubt we get another unification match this year at welterweight. I seriously doubt that. It could happen. I would love it, but anyway, yeah, I wanted to do a video with my cousin. He's disgusted, but then again, he wanted Danny to win, so can't really go by him. He's pissed off. He was pissed off tonight. He's like, that was a robbery. I hate boxing. I'm saying to myself, yeah, but you wanted Danny to win. You know, I was happy because I wanted to keep the win, but I wasn't impressed though. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I was impressed with him. Nah, I ain't doing it. Anyway, I'll probably watch the fight tomorrow. I'll watch it tomorrow. I'll check it out. Let me know what you guys think. All right, I try to upload a couple of those videos, you know, on here. The Wi-Fi sucked in there. But let me know what you guys think. You know, you're probably gonna come on here and thought I was totally wrong and slander me for it. That's cool. If you guys want to just come in here and crack jokes on me, that's cool too. So just leave some comments and make sure you guys subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll probably put out a couple of videos tomorrow if I can. All right. Have a good night. Peace.